Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to talk about the books I read in May. May was an okay reading month. I ended up with 54 books, so less than April, but still a lot. As per usual, I will try to go through them semi-quickly so that I don't need to sit here for 400 years. I did Asian Readathon partly of the month. I did a reading challenge where I read a lot of books I wanted to unhaul, and then also just like other random books as per usual. So let's get into the books I read. First book I finished was my audio, which was Julia Chan is Dead by Lian Shang. This one follows a young woman called Julia Chan who takes over her twin sister's life, who is an influencer that dies. She says that she died, that herself died, Julia Chan, but really it was her sister that died, and she takes over her life and thinks she has a glorious and great life because they were estranged, and then realizes the backdrops and darkness of a influencer life. It goes very unhinged. It is compared to like Bunny meets, what was it again? Bunny meets something, but I've forgotten. Yellowface, which I feel like is very accurate for what it was, and I absolutely enjoyed it. I had so much fun with it. I feel like it was twisty. Our main character was twisty. I feel like it went dark places and also had a lot of commentary. I definitely think like a lot of people would say that it could do certain things better. Like any book can do things better, but I still think that this did what it wanted to do in a well-rounded way, and I just enjoyed the unhingedness of it, and I ended up giving it 5 stars because I had so much fun with it, and I don't give out 5 stars that often, so I am as shocked as you. I then listened to Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang. Just need to note that none of these were for the actual Asian Readathon prompts. I just like they just came after one another. And then also I listened to only audiobook in the beginning of the month because apparently picking up a physical book is hard for me. Either way, Natural Beauty follows this young pianist that used to go to music school, etc. And then tragedy struck, so she's not a musician anymore. Now she works with this beauty company, and there's like a lot of dark things happening inside this beauty company, and then there's like a lot of commentary on like beauty and what it is, etc. I didn't enjoy this as much as I thought I would. I felt the main character became a bit passive, so the story was just like happening to her, and I think the most interesting parts of the story where she was with her parents and about her being a musician was the most engaging parts, and we kind of went a lot of away from that when we got further into the book, and it was a lot about like this beauty company, etc. And I feel like that part which was just done very predictably in a way that I lost engagement in the story when we were focusing on that, while I still do think the story was written well, etc. I just don't think I loved all the pieces together. But I read another book by the author now in April, not in April, in June, so I would talk more about it in my next wrap-up, but I gave this a 3. Then I listened to Carmilla by J. Lafau. This I listened to for my horror vlog, which is now up. I also had Julia Chan and Natural Beauty in my horror vlog, did I? I can't remember what books I had it. I will leave a link down below. But I did a little horror vlog for fun, and then I listened to Carmilla, which is a classic vampire lesbian story where we have this young girl who's married to this man, and then Carmilla comes up and they help her, and then weird things starts happening. It's a very, very short book for like 100 pages barely. The audiobook took me 1 hour, and I actually really enjoyed it. I liked the atmosphere, I liked how it was written, and I gave it a 4. Then I had to listen Dawn Towers of Midnight by Will Jordan and Brandon Sanderson. That was because we had the live show 4 Towers of Midnight in May, so this was the second to last book in Wheel of Time. Very, very much enjoyed it. It is one of my faves. Almost don't bother explaining Wheel of Time, but it follows these characters that needs to stop the dark one basically, and it's a thick one, and I'm very soon done with the last one again for the live show that is probably after this video is up. Yay. I gave it a 5. Judge me, I gave it a 5. Okay, so I feel really bad for this book because this was my physical read. All of those were audios, right? And I was reading The Exiled Queen by Cinda Williams Chima. This was like a leftover for the vlog I was doing in the end of April. And then this was kind of the next up, so I just read this because I didn't know what to read. And then it just gave me sort of a slump because like I just couldn't pick it up. I read like 50 pages a day or something. And the thing is, I really, really, really enjoyed the first book in the series. But now I feel like I just couldn't get into this one, and I just don't know whether it was something to do with my mood or something. But the first book at least follows this boy that finds out that he has powers, and also this princess that's been very isolated and now like finds out about the unfairness in the world basically. And I really enjoyed these elements of these characters. I really enjoyed the world. I really enjoyed how it was written. I thought it was so much fun. This one was quite boring. We have our dude has started like his schooling in his magic, and then the princess is like learning even more about the world. And I just felt like it was much more slower and not as engaging as the first one with like the plot we had in the first one. So because of this, I didn't enjoy myself as much, but I also was in a weird mood when reading it. My first physical read of that month, and I ended up giving it a 3. And now I'm just like, I was so excited for it, and I'm like, what if I don't like the rest of the series? Because I truly was so engaged and into the first one, and now I don't know what happened with this one. Then I could read a graphic novel or a manga, so I read Lower Olympus Volume 6 by Rachel Smith. Why is it like, is that here? I was like, is that a part of the cover? This is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and then we have them trying to not be together but be together, etc. It got smushed. I think I dropped it at a point. I really love the art and the colors and how that is used in it, and I'm enjoying it, but like there's some ones I really love and some ones I'm like, can we get on with it? And I feel like it's just very long, can we get on with things? But that might just be I'm impatient. My next audio was The Bruising of Quilva by Nassim Jamnia. This one was a gum machine pick for like a few months ago, and I had forgotten to read it. It just slipped my mind, and I was just like, wait, I never read that. So I obviously had to read it now, and I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I actually understood what was going on. We had this city, a lot of like weird things was happening in the city. We had a lot of characters talk about this city, and I am explaining it very vaguely because I was just like so confused for a lot of the story. But I enjoyed it fine. I found some elements very pretty, and the writing was very like flowery and nice, but I had a bit hard time grasping the full story. But it was still not, it wasn't a bad thing. I just feel like maybe it wasn't for me at the time. I gave it a 3. I then had to read The Conference of the Birds by Mountain Riggs, which is the 5th book in Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children, for our read along in Patreon. And I read it. I think that the things that annoyed me like in the 4th book when we start a new trilogy was like repaired here way too fast, and that also annoyed me. But then we were on this like new adventure, and there were elements of the original story where I'm like, what were we doing with all that now that we have this one? I don't know how to explain it, but like I don't think it is as cool as I wanted it to be. But I'm reading the last book now in a few days, so hopefully I'll enjoy that more. Or at least see where the story ends, and I will enjoy that. I think I gave this a 3. My next audio was for my horror vlog as well. That was Hunger Stone by Kat Dunn. That is a Carmilla retelling. We follow the, I was going to say young wife who's married to this man, and she realizes she has given everything to this man and his family, and he's giving her shit. And then she just realizes that she's trapped in this terrible marriage through Carmilla arriving. And it just was very much focused on that marriage and how bad it was for her, more than like actually like the vampire stuff and like the lesbian stuff that I was interested in. So I was like a bit bored by it, and I just like don't like reading books focused on people trapped in marriages apparently. So I gave it a 3. But the writing was very nice. I then started The Gods Below. Not started, I did also read it. I did read the whole thing by Andrea Stewart. This I was very high for because like I enjoyed Bone Shard Daughter. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it, and I read all of the books. But I was still very curious by the audiobook by the author. And in this one, I don't even know how to explain it honestly, but we have like this world where like the god is punishing them or something after a lot of years, and then like it takes like parts of the land and eats it up, and the people in there gets changed into different creatures, which sounds very cool. And then like people like trying to escape. So we have 2 sisters that are trying to escape like when the change is happening where they are, and they're basically already like super poor and living terribly, and then they get split up. So one of them gets changed, but the other one gets to the like the border to the like the other country. And then she becomes like a diver where they find stuff down below, which is what is called the gods below. And the other one is like having a completely changed life. And then like they find out secrets about this world, etc. There's also other characters in the story that gets introduced like super late in. I'm like, who are you? And why should I care about you? I only cared about this sister story, and it gets completely like not in focus anymore, and it disturbed me. Yeah, after divine war shattered the world, humanity struck a pact with the god Cluange. In return for a regular tribute of magical gems, Cluange would restore the world to its former glory. So that's what like happening, but people are escaping this glory. So it's very like, it's very fascinating. But as each land is transformed, so too are its people change into strange new forms if they survive at all. So I'm like, this deal sounded very sucky. And that is why like she's diving for these gems, because she's giving them to the gods. I feel like I just explained it very badly. I cared a lot in the beginning. Opening scenes were marvelous. I was invested. And then I just felt like it didn't really go anywhere. We had all these characters I didn't care for. And I just like didn't care for like the common conflict that was coming, and now I just feel very disengaged from the whole book. I am sad about it because honestly I thought it opened with a banger, and then I'm like, I'm bored. So there's that. I gave it a 3, and we shall see how I feel if I read a sequel. We have also Before We Forget Kindness by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is like the 5th book in this series. At this point, I'm a bit like, we have done this now. We know where it's going, and I enjoy it, but it's a bit whatever as well. So we have this cafe where people can travel back in time, but they can only do it for a certain amount of time until the coffee gets cold, and they kind of go around places and stay in the seats. It's like certain rules to it, and then it's also very like emotional connections. People want to see people who have died, etc. And it is emotional, but I think like the 1st and 2nd did it best, and now we're just like going in the same patterns. And I know there's even another one coming, so I'm just like, why do I keep reading them? I don't know. But it's still sweet and nice and quick reads. I give this a 3. Then I read another manga, which was the first of these that I had, which is My Number Totoro, which is a film comic all in one edition. So it's like the whole Totoro film. These also did exist before many years ago and went out of print, but now like they like reproduced them where you have the whole thing in one go. It is in full color, and it's read as a manga where you basically just read the Totoro film. It was so good. I loved it. It was just so comforting and nice, and I would definitely reread. And I just loved, like, I know I'm just reading the film, but it was just so marvelous to read. And I'm getting goosebumps. I loved it. I give it a 5. I would definitely recommend them if you just want coziness in your life. They are a bit expensive, but I think they were definitely worth it. You get them, as I said, in full color, and you get like the whole story in one. So cute, so happy to have them in my collection. Then I had to read Ruin by John Gawain for the Fate Fallen Along, hosted by Becca and with other co-hosts. We already had a live show. This is the 3rd book in the Fateful and the Fateful and the Fallen. And honestly, this is a reread for me, and I didn't enjoy myself as much the first time I was reading them. Still think like the 1st and 2nd takes a long time to get into things, and I'm just like, there's too many characters. At this point, I'm so used to all the characters, and I feel like I made a really good overview in my head of who the characters are. I've been taking like really good notes, and then now that I have an overview and know what's going on, it is so enjoyable. It's so enjoyable that I went out and bought a sequel to the other series by the author, just so that I could have them. Even though I read the first one and that one as well, I didn't enjoy it as much. But now I believe if I reread that, I will enjoy it more. And I really, really, really got into it and really, really had a good time. There was some twists and turns. There was so great character moments in this. It's all about like loyalty and love. I don't even know if I described the series to you, but it's like, I don't even know how do I even describe the book. It is a war coming. There's a prophecy, there's a war coming. There's different sides. There's a lot of POVs. It's a good epic fantasy series, and I'm excited to now reread the last one where I'm actually more into the story in July. Then I read A Moonsong Rising by Thea Gonson. This I read because I picked it out for my readathon TBR. And I realized it is a duology. I'm very happy about this. But the first book is basically a real retelling. We have a girl with light powers and a girl with dark powers, and then they come together. This is all about like their relationship, etc. And them coming together. There's this war also, but that was kind of forgotten. And I just read this because I didn't really enjoy the first one either. I didn't expect to love this, but I also didn't expect it to be as bad as it was. I think they're just stunning, and I want to keep them because of the stunningness. But I do also have slight regrets of buying the favorite editions of, well, any of them. It was not a story for me. The way it's built up, the way it's written, I just feel like it was just not well done. Honestly, for me. So I gave this, I feel like I gave it a 2, and I did not have a good time. Poor me. Then I read City in Glass by Nevo, also from my Asian readathon TBR. And this one follows this demon, is it? Is it the demon? Yes. And she's in love with this city, and she has like taken care of the city for ages, and then the city is destroyed because the angels kind of saved the city from this demon, and then this angel keeps visiting this demon who's mourning the city, and then they fall in love also. It has beautiful writing, but it can be a bit vague, it can be a bit confused. Sometimes I am confused about really beautiful writing, but it was still stunning, and I was just like, when I got into it, I had a really good time with it. And I rated it. Did I rate it a 3 or 4? I don't know, but it was good. Then we got Killing Stalking, volume 7 by Kogi. So this is the second to last volume. It falls a killer and stalker that falls in love, if you can even call it that. It is absolutely terrible, but very highly entertaining and intriguing, and I'm curious to see of how things will go in the last volume, because, well, are they gonna get caught for the things they've done, or just gonna live their lives? Who knows? But I guess I will find out when I read the last one. And then read Miss Kim Knows and Other Stories, which is by Shunam Yo, author of Kim Ji-young, born 1982, which is incredible, and I love that book a lot. This one I didn't love as much. We have different short stories with different women that goes through different things that women does, and I just felt like I couldn't get into all the short stories as you tend to do in a short story collection, but it was still like solid, but like it wasn't as good as Kim Ji-young, and I gave this a 3. I just realized I've been talking way too long about each book because we have so many left and we've been here for ages, I feel like. I then borrowed On Libby, A Palace Near the Wind by Ai Jiang, because I thought it looked pretty, but I didn't want to just like buy things to buy things. What was this about? This was about, it's a sci-fi novella. I thought it was a full-length book as well. It is a story of family loss, oppression, and rebellion. I'm just reading about it because I can't recall. Yes, they can command a wind. She can control the wind, but she's to be the bride to the human king, and she's trying to keep her people and culture intact. I feel like I clearly can't remember it that well, so I don't think it left that big of an impression on me. And I feel like I give it like a 3. I think it was... Oh, that was my phone. Parts of it was good, but like I am fine with not buying it because it was like okay. Then I read Vanishing World by Sayaka Murata. This is the newest Sayaka Murata translated because it has been out in Japan for a while. I had to borrow it because I want the edition to match my other editions before I buy it. Sayaka Murata is one of my favorite authors, and she always writes twisted and weird, and it delivers in this one as well. We have this war where people have stopped having sex because sex is like looked upon as like gross and weird, because it's like that was what you did to reproduce, and like you can love each other without having sex. It's really, really odd, but people have stopped having sex, and she has sex with like her boyfriends, but like it's normal to have boyfriends, but like with your husband, who is like kind of your family, you don't have sex with your husband because that would be like incest. People go just to like the bank to get a baby, like you don't get baby with like your partner. And then people also started to like make it so that you can have babies in this like other society, but this like comes very much into play later in the book when we were like focused more on like the society and how like the relationship works. I was very interested in the story, and then like when you came to like the twisty parts of like this other society that comes later into the book, then it becomes very, very weird. And I saw a lot of people enjoy the last part and not the first part, and I enjoyed the first parts the most, where we had like this like we explain society and how like psychologically it works, because it's so different from like how we think and how we are. But like the society part I thought was very boring, because then we kind of just became, I felt like any other cult in a way. I was very interested to read some reviews on it. I still think it has some disgusting parts, it has some terrible parts, it has some so twisty things, but that is what Sayaka Murata writes best, I think, and I enjoy myself a lot, even though I was like, what is going on? It's my favorite author because that is Convenience Store Woman, but it was still very interesting, and I gave it a 4. Then we got Apothecary Diaries, volume 5, which is this young girl that works as a apothecarist in this court, and a lot of like things happen there that she unravels. Yay, great description. Enjoying the series a lot so far. Then listen on audio, The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. This is an interesting high fantasy, new fantasy book where it is told with a bit of humor. We have this main character that is now entered this kind of, I was going to call it a competition to be the heir to this kingdom. And then she was not prepared for this, really. And then also there's this murder happening, so she needs to also investigate this, while also simultaneously work together with one of the characters that in the beginning he exiled his sister, and she kind of had something to do with that. Not like that it was her fault, but like she had to write the order, etc. It has some like super epic parts. I think like the world building was really good. I think it had good humor and had like interesting trials to like build up to this like to be air, etc. And I feel like parts of it was very, very, very good. I just felt like it wasn't a 5-star read. I thought it would be a 5-star read for me because I expected to like truly, truly love it with everything I had. But it was just a solid fantasy book where I'm curious to see where it will go. And I feel like maybe I shouldn't have audio in it. I feel like maybe I would have enjoyed it more if I just eyeball read it. But alas, here we are. Might like if I need to reread when the sequel is coming, whenever that is coming, I might eyeball reread it because I did enjoy it a lot, and I feel like a part of me could have loved it even more though, and it's absolutely stunning. But I will recommend it still a lot. I read from the library Genanse og Verdighet by Dag Solstad, which is a Norwegian book by a Norwegian author, by an author that has passed away. I don't even know how to translate this title. It's something to do with dignity, and this one is just like this high school professor that kind of has a breakdown, and then he thinks everyone thinks about it, but I don't even know if anyone noticed, and he thinks about his life with his wife. And Norwegian literature is weird, and I don't even know what like the point of it was supposed to be, but I read it and it was like fine, but it wasn't incredible. It was fine. It has some like dear humor to it, some interesting like relationships, but ultimately not the story that I personally would love. Then we have Morgen og Kveld by Jon Fosse, or Morning and Night, which is our Nobel Prize Literature winner that won 2 years ago. And I want to read one book by him, but I don't think it was the best idea. It just follows this dude that gets born, and he has the same name as another dude that just died, and he feels like they're connected basically, and we go out to go fishing. And again, it's written a bit like up in the air thing, and then also in the written language in Norwegian that I usually don't even read that much. And I'm just like, I don't even know what's going on. But it was vibes, at least. So yeah, I felt fine about it. But I tried out one. So then I started my reading challenge where I was reading books from past my floor that I want to get rid of. But I want to read them first. So I read a couple of series. I would try to... It's like a lot. So I'm like, ugh, why did I read so much? So the first series I read was The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer. And then I read obviously this, and then The Evolution of Mara Dyer, as well as The Retribution of Mara Dyer. It follows Mara Dyer that wakes up in the hospital. Her best friend and her boyfriend is dead, and she doesn't know why. They move to a new place where she meets Noah Shaw that might or might not have some answers. Other death starts happening around her, and it's like a whole mystery of like, why, how, etc. It's written like a very typical way of its time, the way we build up like the answers, and all of it's kind of like just moments around them. But it was so bizarre because the whole book is about like her not knowing what is real or not, or like not knowing what has happened or not. So it's a lot about like her being gaslit, or like her believing she's crazy, etc. That is like a lot of the focus of the story, and I just felt like that focus was annoying because obviously I wanted answers, but then you feel like you never get them because it's just like the whole back answers constantly for you to keep reading. So it was engaging, super easy reads because, well, that was kind of like the whole point. But ultimately I was just like, the answers suck. I did not have a good time, and I rated every single book 2 stars, and I'm definitely unhauling them. I also then found out that there was a spin-off series with Noah Shaw as the main character. So that is what? The Becoming of Noah Shaw, and then what is the other one called? The Reckoning of Noah Shaw. So this one is just follows Noah Shaw as the main character instead of Mara Dyer. After the events of Mara Dyer, I felt like a part of me didn't feel like we got a proper ending in Mara Dyer, so I was a bit excited to see like, will we get proper answers? No, we're gonna have a book about absolutely nothing, because even if you write a new trilogy in the same series where you kind of solve something, you need to have new conflicts, and the new conflicts are very boring. Also, there's supposed to be a third book coming. The second book in this trilogy came in 2018, I think, and there hasn't been no news of this third book that was supposed to come in 2020 in like years. So like it basically has disappeared, and we will never get the rest of the series. Oh no! I started the whole thing to like complete it and get rid of it, but I can never actually complete it, so that was annoying. I also read To Your Eternity Volume 11 by Yoshitiko Oima. Follows this orb that can turn into people that has died, and then we are finding these things. And I wanted to stop finding these things and do something else or get some answers, because I'm just a bit like, we're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over, but I'm still enjoying it because it still has beauty and friendship and family. Yay. From the piles I don't want to keep, I had Rosebud by H.G. Howard, which was a old crate I got many years ago. This is a Phantom of the Opera retelling, but it's set in modern days, and it was super weird, and we have vampires, and I did not enjoy myself at all, and would definitely not be keeping this. Even though when I got it many years ago, I got a cool book plate, it has red font, but now I actually read it after like, what, 8 years or something, and I'm just like, gave me nothing. Also read Marshall, Magic and Muscles, Volume 5, which follows our dude. What is his name? Is his name Mash? It is Smash. And he can use his super cool strength against magic, and he goes on magic school but doesn't have any magic because he's very strong. And it's funny. It reminds me a bit of Mob Psycho 100. Another series that was in my pile that I didn't want to keep was Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I actually read Legendary, which is the second book, and I also read Finale, which I don't own, which is great because I'm unhauling it. And now I completed the series. This followed this like Caraval that shows up here and there, and it's like magical, and these girls get invited, and then like what is real or what is not, and I thought that it would be like cool revelations, and it just gave me nothing. Kind of, it is like romance, etc., but I just like didn't care, you know, and then I didn't care about these two either. But now I have read them, and I can say goodbye. I have the first and second, but I happily for me didn't buy the third. I also read Asian Magus Bride by Kori Yamasaki. This is the 8th volume in the series, and it follows Chisa, who was bought by Elias to be his wife, but it's more about her becoming a magician and learning about this world and learning to love herself, which is very nice. And I'm enjoying it a lot. Because I didn't know if I was gonna get complete Caraval, because Finale really had a hold on it, but then it came in. But then in the meantime, I was like, well, let's complete the other Stephanie Garber I haven't finished, which is A Curse for True Love, which was the final in the series. I do own 1 and 2, but I never bought number 3 because I didn't really enjoy it myself that much in this either. One of the main characters is one of the main characters in, or like side characters in Caraval, and I got to complete this other love story. I like, it went exactly where you think it's gonna go. I didn't think that this had any particular like twist or new things to add that made it like, oh my god, I found a book in the series, but I completed it, and I gave this a 2. I gave also all the Caraval books a 2. I gave every single book in this vlog that I have filmed, I can link down below, 2 except the manga. Yeah, that's what I got to say. I know that people really love Stephanie Garber. I don't think it's an author for me. Meanwhile, in all of this vlog, I did listen to my audio, which was A Glittering Edge by Alyssa Villiers. So this one is like a very typical paranormal YA as well. I feel like I said that a lot in this. That it follows this girl that lives in this small town, and there's these 2 families that hate each other. She's not part of them. There's 2 boys in this family, and they always constantly fight. One of the families accuses the other one to have cursed them, and then other families like super rich, but like the mean family that has supposedly cursed them is like super poor now, and then her mother comes in a magical coma because of this curse, and she needs to collaborate with these boys to solve it. It is like typical 2010 YA, and I feel like at first I was like, this is published in 2025, amazing. I felt like I had very much fun in the beginning, especially like setting up the story. It was like coming home and settling my bones in, I was gonna say, but I just felt like it ebbed off a bit. It was just like, can we just get to the stuff? And then some parts was just too typical in a way, like Mean Girls and stuff. I hate Mean Girls tropes. I'm like, can't girls be friends? No, it needs to be a mean girl there for absolutely no reason at all. And I just like felt like it never managed to like, in the ending, like rip an ending that made all of the jabbling back and forth worth it. But the setup was fun. I did end up giving it a 3. Then I completed another YA series, because that is basically what's in my pile. It's a lot of old shit YA I don't want anymore. I did finish Illuminate Files, so I read Gemina, and I read Obsidio, and I read a tiny memento, which you could get if you pre-ordered Aurora Rising. So I read all of it, done. I didn't really enjoy Illuminate first time I read it, but it's told, if you don't know, like different like files and stuff. Oh, I opened on a normal page, but it's told like in files and code sometimes, and like posters and countdowns, and it's about like these 2 ships crashing into one another. So the first one is one ship, and I think that this is like the other ship, and like here they come more together. And I felt like I was reading the same book 3 times. I did not really enjoy myself, and I feel like the way it is told, for me, it is hard to get into the story. I get it was popular when it was doing what it was doing, and a lot of people really, really, truly love them for being different, and I feel like it's cool that it's different, and a lot of people has loved them. I completely think that that is awesome. I just think that for me to get into the story through these files, I just feel like I don't get to know the characters. I have a hard overview of what is going on. I hate turning the book, etc. I know the audios are really good. I just don't have the patience to ever do that. And now these can go to people that will really enjoy them. Will I keep this though, since this is like weird or cool or something? I don't even know, but I have completed the series and I can say goodbye. The next one is, you guessed it, another YA series that I kept for like the last 7 years. It is Rebel of the Sands, and I had read the first one, but I also obviously bought the rest of the series. So we had Traitor to the Throne and Hero at the Fall by Alvin Hamilton. And this one follows Amani, who lives on the deserts, and they like start this revolution against the Empire, blah, 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 blah. And I just felt, for me, it was weird that a white author wrote this story, but that is just me. And I just like didn't care. I don't think like it was anything special. It's just like a typical YA with a different setting that this author used. And I felt like I read other books with this setting that is better, and it just felt like so typical, and it gave me nothing. So as I said, for everything in this vlog, I did give it 2 stars, so it shouldn't really surprise you. I then read Snow White with a Red Hair by Furuta Akidugi. It follows Shiwayuki, who is a herbalist, and she is caught between the princess in this country. Oh, really? She likes one of them the most. My babe. And then it is like romance and court and dramatic things happening. So it is very cute and fun. I forgot to mention, because there's a lot of books on this list, I also read Spectacular by Stephanie Garber, which is like the holiday novella to the Carvel series. I also read that to complete the whole thing, and it was just like a novella to the Carvel series that was set in the holidays. There's really not much more to say than that, but it exists, and it was like 200 pages, barely, because it was so little text on each page, and I read it. Yay. Then I read Chainsaw Man, Volume 17 by Tatsuki Fujimoto, which follows our dear Danji, who's a chainsaw, and I just love the series so much. It is so weird and chaotic and completely unpredictable. The best time you can have. I'm missing a book. I don't know where it is. I feel like I put it somewhere very clever, but I can't find it right now. It doesn't really matter. But it is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher, which was a Gun Machine pick. Have this kind of museum thing, and in this museum there is this portal, and in this portal creepy things happens. I felt like it was fine. I didn't get into this as much as the other T. Kingfisher I really, really loved. But now I read 1 T. Kingfisher I really love, and 2 Kingfisher I felt fine about. But the other one I felt fine about, I felt less fine about than this one. I still enjoy this, and I think like T. Kingfisher writes really, really well. I just felt like it was just a bit okay of a like horror mystery, or whatever I want to call it. And I give it a 3. I then read Kiki's Delivery Service, all in one edition as well. It's very random. I feel like this and Totoro came very close together. But this is the same concept as Totoro. It is the movie, but like in full color manga format. Love this as well as much as Totoro. So precious. I have 1 more in my house, and then another one is coming in August. So obviously I'm gonna collect them all. Then we got The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. This is obviously the second book in the Bridgerton series, and this is Anthony and Kate's story. Obviously I watched the TV show, etc. I was also starting to watch it while I was reading it again to like compare them, and it's so many differences for this one, at least much more than the first season. And I love them. I love them in the story and how they were with each other and how they fell in love. And I love the TV series a lot as well. I feel like I enjoyed this much more than the first book, where it was doing weird things. But this one had just really fun elements to it, and I enjoyed the voices. So yeah, it is a fun series to get through, and I listened to audio for this, so I'll probably do that with the rest of the series as well. The audio is really great. I then read Sleeping Worlds Have No Memory by Yaroslav Barskov. This one is for the Nebula vlog that I am doing, and it was the last one I needed to read. It follows like this person who kind of gets exiled to oversee this building of this tower, and then we're just doing that, and it was fine. It was written okay, but it didn't keep me like super engaged, and I was like amazed by it. I felt okay with the whole thing. I was just like, okay, now I read it. 3 stars. Then I read a Pachinko Parlor. This is for my 10th anniversary vlog, which I'm thinking is coming before this, but I'm a bit unsure. Where 10 subscribers throws out 10 books. Some now I read in the end of May, and then some in the beginning of June. And this is by Lisa Shua Dusapin. I read the first one by the author Winter and Chalk Show, and I didn't love it as much, but this was much more up on my alley. We have this young girl who's visiting her grandparents in Japan, and they have this Pachinko Parlor, and then she thinks back on their lives and like how like their relationship with Korea, etc., of where they really come from. And then also she's tutoring this young girl, etc. And just thinking about life and bonds, etc. And I feel that it was written really well and explored nice things. So I gave it a 4. Before we were done, there's so many books left. Or not that many, but a lot. Then I read Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Salznick. This I bought at the library for the 10th anniversary vlog. And it follows Hugo, who lives alone in this train station and keeping like all the clocks, etc. alive. And then he is caught stealing, and then is also trying to fix this like autonomon that his dad left behind. And then he maybe finds answers through this other family. It is totally in like illustrations as well as a text, and it was very beautiful and nice, and I enjoyed it a lot. I give it a 4. Then I listened to, which was my next audio. I've listened to so much audio. Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Sang by Kylie Lee Baker. So this one follows this young girl whose sister died, and she is thinking a lot about her death and like wanting to catch a killer. She also washes up after like crime scenes, etc. And then they find out that there's this serial killer going around, or maybe there's something more. And then we kind of investigate, and it goes very dark and twisty. It was interesting, but I didn't love it as much as I thought. It is very much like a story also focused on how Asian people were treated around Corona times. It's set in Corona times, etc. Also, a lot of people love it, but I just felt like a lot of the elements together, sometimes I was like, what is this book really about? And I felt like it brought up so many important things as well. But I personally didn't love it. I thought I would, but I was just like, in the end, I was just like, it was such a jumble of things, and I felt like it could have been smoother in a way. I cannot put my words on exactly why I didn't like love it, because there were parts of it that I loved, but I felt like if I blinked, we were just like somewhere else. I was like, what is going on? And this is not because I listen to audiobooks really fast, because obviously I got in all the other audiobooks I read, but in this one I just like felt we were a bit jumbled, and I did enjoy it, and like thought that again it had so many important elements in it, but I just felt like the story could have been stronger and the writing could have been stronger, and I gave it a 3. Then I read A Man and His Cat by Umi Sakurai. This I borrowed at the library, but a copy is on its way. I just like borrowed at the library so I could read it sooner. And if it's a man who gets a cat, it is very sweet. I found myself tearing up a lot. I've been putting it off starting it because I don't want to be sad. Because I feel like all stories like this either ends with either the owner dying or the cat dying, and I don't want either. But it's very, very sweet. And it's a lot of tinted sadness in it, because it seems like he was very lonely and the cat was lonely, and now they have each other, and it's very sweet. Very much enjoyed it. Then I finally read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. Sad I skipped the Lumocrate, but it follows Emily Wilde, who is going to the north to basically investigate into these fairies. She's writing an encyclopedia, and then she's just like in this super cold winter place. She's joined by her, I was gonna call it a rival, but another dude that also is a academic, and then he is a very interesting character, and then shit goes down up there, I was gonna say. I feel like it was very interesting in the beginning. I really like reading about academics. I like going on expeditions with them because they act and are funny in a way. She's very smart and bad at social cues, and I enjoyed her a lot as a character. The story unraveled a bit for me when we got to a certain point, because then it's just like everything happened very fast, and then boom, we were over, and I was like, what? So I feel like we should added like 40 more pages, or even not even 40, like 20 more pages to settle there in the ending. I would have enjoyed it much, much more. And it was at a point almost a 5-star read, but then like because the ending unraveled a lot, I ended up on a strong 4, but very excited for the next one, which I already bought because I had to run out and buy it, as I knew I was loving this one when I was reading it. Then, for the last book for this video, for this wrap up, is The Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon by Kimberly Lemming. This is also for the 10th anniversary. This was also for that. And this is just a romance, very like easy, typical fun romance of a woman who literally saves a demon, and then he wants her, and they need to go out on this journey together, and then maybe they will get together, if you get what I mean. It was smutty and fun, and it reminded me, like, in regards of like how the romance is, because obviously this is a lot of different types of romances. It's like similar in the veins I felt like Ice Planet Barbarians, and I really enjoy Ice Planet Barbarians for what it is. It is super entertaining and fun, and this is what this was as well. So I gave it a 3. And that was the 54 books I hope that I read in April, because sometimes it is hard to see on the list what I talk about as well if I'll take a lot of books together, because then I skip. But I feel like that was it. If I missed one, then I missed one, such as life. But yeah, it was a good month. I feel like there were some here that I knew I was gonna like, not like, you know? So they didn't surprise me. There was some I thought I was gonna love more, but I still enjoyed them for what they were. So yeah, it was a mixed bag. It was a mixed bag, but I feel like it ended well, and that was what I read. Leave a... what do you even have? Demon. Leave a demonic, the purple devil face down below, because that was what we ended up with down below. If you enjoyed this video, and you should see me soon in a new one, thank you so much for watching. Bye!